Hello everyone, welcome to another React video. In this particular part, I will be covering on useEffect hook in React. And if you like to learn more about React, you can actually get my full course on React using the link in the description below. So let's get started. And now, useEffect is mainly used to control rendering. So whenever a particular event or value changes, then it should make a particular function or task. So let me give you a simple example right here. So as you can see here, I happen to be having a simple value right here, and this particular value I like to have like a first variable. So in this case, I like to have like create a new variable called value, and this has to be inside a state hook, and I'm gonna use state here. And once I've added that, I like to initialize the value of this particular variable called value with 0, and I can just take this value and just paste it on top here. And this is basically the value right here is happening to show this particular value right here. And let's say if I would like to change the value of this particular variable, so I can just make like another function, or I can just put a button that says add like this. And of course, this particular button will be having an on-click props. And then this is where I would like to use this particular set value to change the value of this variable. So in this case, I would like to place like a function inside here, an arrow function, and this arrow function will be having set value. And inside this particular set value function, I'll place 1. When I click on add, it just becomes number 1. And when I actually add like another button that would be changing back to its original value, I'm just going to be saying the set value is going to be 0, and I'll just say minus. So this is like simple basic way, just like as you can see, as just two buttons right here, just add and minus, plus and minus, where I can just place them next to each other, where this is going to be minus and this is going to be plus. And as you can see right here, I can just have like +1 here and -1 here. It's just these two right here. So basically this is like one way to actually just change the value of this particular variable. So now with that particular basic value right here already set, now I can actually make use of the useEffect hook, and just by calling it useEffect, you'll be able to having like a template that can be obtained right here. Just click on this particular useEffect snippet, and this is a simple template that we usually use, but we don't need to be having any of this, most of it predefined right here. And of course, you need to make sure to define your useEffect hook and just place it at the top right here. First of all, I'm going to show you what happens when we don't use any dependency. So this particular square bracket right here is actually meant for dependency. Only when this particular value changes, this particular useEffect will run. So that's the basic idea of useEffect. So let me just remove any dependencies right here. So I'm just going to make like a console.log, and this is going to be the value. Okay. So I'm just going to show you what happens when we don't put any dependency as the second parameter. I'm going to go to inspect and go to console. And in our console right here, as you can see here, when we make change to this particular value by clicking add or minus, this particular console will just runs, because this particular console will run whenever there is a render has been detected and is running. It just runs this particular useEffect hook. So this is what it means by having no dependency at all, which just runs every single time when there is a render happens. So render can be, let's say there's a change that happened to a state, and that could be a render. So let's say if I add like another new empty square bracket. So what does this empty square bracket is? Basically, it looks for a particular value that can be used to see or refer to whether the value has been changed or not. Let me just clear my console, and let me just add +1 or -1. As you can see here, when I add and -1 right here, there's no console log happening right here, because what happens when I put empty square bracket is that it has no dependency. It does not need to depend on any values to be changing. So that's the basic idea of this particular empty square bracket, or you can just say empty dependency, which means no dependent value to be here. And if I put the value, put it right here, and as you can see here, when I actually change the value of this particular variable, let me just click on minus, you're able to find this particular console actually running. And if I don't change it and I just click on this particular button like here, as you can see here, when there's no change happen to this particular value, you don't actually find any renders right here. So when I click on add 1, by the way, as you can see, there's a 1 actually is appearing because this particular value changes. So basically that's the basic idea of useEffect. Only when this particular value changes and this particular useEffect will be running. And so that's the basic idea of useEffect.